Well, welcome to our next Intersections interview. I'm here with Bob. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Mike.
And Bob is another gentleman I know through the Husbands Out to Their Wives email list online. And thanks again for coming out and doing this. I appreciate it.
Happy to do it. Seems like an interesting project.
It's been very interesting. And we'll just jump right into the questions if that's all right.
You bet.
And first of all, you on your questionnaire, you identified as sexually as a homosexual, but romantically bisexual. So what do those identities mean to you?
Well, I'll start with the second part. I'm married and very romantically connected and attracted to my wife. I love talking with her, hanging out with her, um, uh, doing things for her, whether that's anything from cooking breakfast to supporting a career change or something. Um, we just hang together totally copacetically. I think we're really romantically related, and at certain moments, you know, certain moments are just especially poignant as far as my love for her and my connection at that level. And I also know that I can feel that for a man. Um, I have had two long-term boyfriend relationships, not really the same as my wife. I know what does happen romantically with them. I know that I would be totally um, capable of having a complete, let's say, priority romantic relationship with a guy, although my priority romantic relationship is with my wife right now. But sexually or physically or whatever that adverb was, my interest at a lust level is all gay. Um, I have an active sex life with my wife, and it's based on love and habit, I guess you'd say. It's a very loving thing that we do, but that's if it weren't for her, there wouldn't be anything like that with any woman. So that's why sort of all one-sided as far as intrinsic sexual interest on the one hand, but definitely romantic on on the romantic side. It's both ways.
Okay, that makes sense. Now you identify as male. Um, Now, what does being male mean to you?
Well, that's an interesting question. I have a trans kid, so I have some
Hmm.
perspective on that, and um, I totally feel comfortable as a male. I love being male. I love my male body. I think like a male, even though I'm not a probably typical macho. I don't fit into what some people might call American male culture, like sports are nothing to me and so on. But I don't consider that actually, especially in a global perspective, to have anything to do with being male. So I'm not sure what to say, except I'm completely comfortable with other people identifying me with as male and presenting myself as male.
Okay, okay. And I guess with a kid that is trans, you do understand at least conceptually what that how that cannot always be the case. So
Well, I think so, though learning more every week. But yes, I think pretty good perspective.
I'm sure. Um, Now, you talked about your wife. You said you've been with your wife for 37 years, but you're currently in a closed loop relationship with your wife and your boyfriend. So can you kind of explain what that is and how that works?
Sure, and this is my second closed loop relationship. The first one lasted
Okay.
6 years, and this one is in its fifth year. So the basic idea, it's been the same in both cases, is that the guys have at least physical, but in these two cases, physical and romantic relationship together, uh, and with no other guy. So I have my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my boyfriend. He has his relationship with his wife, his relationship with me, but we are exclusive at that level. So
Right.
it's safe. Well, some people consider it safe emotionally. That's the way we consider it, and that's why it works for us. So it's safe emotionally, it's safe physically. It's for us very stabilizing. But basically, it's called a loop, but it's really a chain. Like wife, husband, husband, wife in this case.
Okay.
With the guys only have physical relationships with each other and their wives, maybe.
Right.
I mean, in our case, we do, but yeah.
Okay.
So it's a kind of another term I like to use for it is dual monogamy. So on the heterosex side, I'm monogamous with my wife, and on the homosex side, I'm monogamous with my boyfriend.
Okay. I like that term. Now, you said your ideal sexual relationship configuration, though, would be an open marriage. So what would that look like to you?
Well, I don't know what it would look like, but when I answered that way, it was on the basis that I would love to have more freedom. I think that if I were single, or if let's say we're married to a guy and we had the right agreements, I would be having sex with other guys at least occasionally. I mean, I see casual sex among my gay friends, that most of whom are married or partnered, but they have understandings that you can play with your friends if you want, and I would totally be there if it weren't for the agreements I have with my wife and my boyfriend.
Right. Okay. Okay. Now tell me about the journey it took to realize the identities that you have today, and how you see your relationships.
Okay, so I can recognize same-sex attraction as far back as early teens, or well, let's say mid-teens, but I can recognize some kind of homoeroticism, even if I didn't understand it as sexual at that time, probably back to age 10 at least. So I understood something about my same-sex attraction from teenage years, but I guess the environment I grew up in, I didn't have anything to attach that to. I didn't have a vocabulary for it, didn't have any role models. I think I anticipated following a traditional path, and so those were the channels and that I was looking for, and the choices I was making. Met my wife when we were 17, freshman in college, and pretty much, I mean, I guess it was a little bit gradual, but as friends, it fell into being romantic and physical. And there was no reason that I could have recognized at the time, I guess I would say, to not go that route. So I guess I was seeing myself, and I was totally in love, and totally sexually enthralled at that time. And I guess I was thinking of myself as normal, quote unquote, or straight, with some pretty weird fantasies. And then, so we got married young, early 20s. Things progressed. I suppose over the next 10 or 15 years, as I came to understand myself, and as I understood more and more how people even conceived of these things, I came to identify as bisexual. It was, let me see, but after 15 or 20 years of marriage was when internet access to images and videos started appearing. And so I started exploring that a little bit more, as opposed to just underwear ads. And, definitely sort of confirmed my interest. Never did anything about it until I was 44, and had been married 22 years. And then I had an opportunity to do some very brief but very intense experimentation. and I did, and I loved it, and I kind of made things fall together for me as in terms of what was totally different about that as a physical experience and a lust-based experience. And I also very in short order told my wife, because I didn't want her to take any risks that I might have encountered. And that was the beginning. And then I was for a period of months, I think, after I disclosed to her that I was still calling myself bi. But I think as I was able to be honest with her and with myself, I realized that I was pretty much gay, and that I'm the gay plus one kind of category, or one woman short of totally gay.
Right. Okay. And that's kind of where you are now with things then.
Right.
Now, how about your relationship configurations and things? Has that evolved at all as far as how you see from like monogamy to the closed loop type things?
Right. So when I came out to my wife, we were in emotional turmoil. We pretty quickly, within a couple of weeks of total emotional chaos, we decided we wanted to stay together. We wanted to figure out if and how that could work. We were going to do our best. And I committed to monogamy, not like forever, but for some indefinite period, and with the promise that if I needed to do something different, I would tell her. And that period lasted for somewhat more than 2 years, which was very good for me because I was able to explore in my own mind and heart and soul what it meant for me to call myself gay without it being wrapped up with gay sex. So I was sort of establishing my identity emotionally, politically, socially. I developed a network of gay friends, kind of started identifying politically as gay as far as political causes go. And at the same time, we were solidifying our marriage. We were coming to new understandings, new emotional intimacy, a new sense of confidence in our future, given the new understandings. Coming out to more and more people, which my experience has always been a very confidence building exercise. And then after 2 years or so, it was my wife actually who suggested that maybe we should switch things up and think about this CLR thing, because otherwise she was afraid we'd constantly be living in fear that that I'd have to do something different or something wouldn't work and everything would be screwed up, whereas we could instead try to find a new equilibrium. So try to think of the words she was using. She said she wanted to live a life based on abundance instead of scarcity, where there's enough of everything for everyone, basically, rather than not being enough and everyone having to sort of be protective of their share. It was abundance versus scarcity, and generosity as opposed to fear. So she decided in her own mind and heart that she was really wanting for us as a couple to live in a spirit of generosity and abundance. So she suggested this idea, and we already knew a couple, another mixed orientation couple, whom we knew and liked, and we knew there was some electricity between me and him. And so we, after discussion between ourselves a little bit more, we surfaced the idea with them, and they were totally ready for it because they were at some kind of crisis point where it was do something new or things were going to crash. And so that's what started my first CLR, and it worked beautifully for 6 years. And we realized that this was the structure that worked for my wife and me. So that's how we got there.
That's pretty amazing. I really like those terms she used too. That really gives a good perspective.
She
So,
calls it her paradigm shift. The day or whatever the week she had her paradigm shift.
right. Nice. Okay. Now I just kind of wanted to touch on a series of questions asking about how your sexuality, how your gender, how your relationship orientation, how they've affected you in different areas of your life. So I'm just going to kind of
Right.
list each of them and let you hit on them.
Okay.
First of all, how have they affected you socially?
Um, but in preface to I think all of these questions, I want to say I will totally acknowledge that, and I had a conversation with other people. Actually, I think on how you probably read the post. About, I understand all the privilege that I have and that I've used, enjoyed. You know, I have male privilege. I have used straight privilege for a lot of my life. I have used white privilege. I mean, I understand that socially, economically, many other ways, that my more or less, uh, well, majority or straight lifestyle really benefited me, probably, especially given the generation I'm in, um, socially, legally, economically, blah blah blah. But then since coming out, and so I came out to my wife, by the way, almost 14 years ago. And so since then, it's been this process of coming out to, her, a few friends, our kids, a few more friends, my colleagues, until it's hundreds of people and I'm basically out. Um, that I would say has not at all hurt me socially. And so it has enriched me socially because I have all the social life. I mean, socially means a lot of things besides social life, but as far as my social life, I have everything I used to have, plus I have an awesome gay social life with a whole network of gay friends. So it's very rich in that way, I guess. And I find personal satisfaction in my gay social life that is something I don't find in the rest of it. So that was good. Um, so I guess that's what I'm thinking when I think socially. I mean, there are other aspects, I guess. Like we left our church after I came out because we weren't, as my wife and I came to understand ourselves, we weren't comfortable with what we were going on there. So we went to an open and affirming church, which was a really good step. And since then, though, I've become a lot less churchy just because I haven't even sort of totally dismissed the need to reconcile that kind of thinking with my personal reality. It was sort of a lifelong project to reconcile what I knew was true and good about myself with what I had learned or was trying to understand in church. So we changed churches as part of that journey, and now I don't even care anymore. That's a social aspect too, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else sort of in that line, but
How about since you brought up church too, is there any other way that's affected you spiritually?
well, I grew up in a traditional Episcopalian tradition. Um, and then married into Presbyterianism. And basically, as an adult, my family's still conservative, but as an adult, I followed a pretty liberal kind of Christianity, and basically, I would say probably always was going toward the most liberal possible interpretation of anything religious, including like theologically, just understanding that all the stories and everything were um, just I don't know what the right word is, just metaphors, or they're ways we understand deeper things by attaching our own familiar images to them. And so I was never deeply religious. I was trying to understand the religion that I was giving, that I was trying to practice, raise my kids in, and so on. I was trying to understand that myself in a very esoteric kind of way, and I think part of it was, as I mentioned, trying to reconcile like the rules and regs of church dogma with my own reality. And that was, interesting exercise in many cases, or in many instances along the way. And then I became very comfortable in the new church we chose, and basically felt no need to even have that discussion with myself or anyone else anymore. So,
Nice. Okay. How about legally? Any effect?
no, I don't think so. I'm still hetero married, so we have all the legal privileges of that.
Right.
There haven't been any legal repercussions of any part of my mixed identities, so I don't think so.
Okay. Good. How about medically?
Nothing really important. I'm out to my doctor, which I think is very important. So I can have open conversation with him about any questions or needs I have in connection with being non-monogamous in particular.
Right.
I think that being out is healthy for me. I mean, I think that's a whole different layer of things. So I think it's psychologically healthy for me. Therefore, it's physically healthy for me. My wife notices, or she was noticing before I came out to her, that something was going on, that I wasn't happy, or I don't know, something. And it wasn't clear whether it was my work or something else at that time. But now I'm very, I guess I feel healthy. Yeah.
So it's actually, go ahead.
In terms of mental health, one thing is I realized sometime after I had disclosed to a lot of people who matter, that I wasn't afraid to die anymore. I mean, that's sort of mental health, and it's also sort of spiritual.
Yeah.
That, okay, I sort of felt like, something happens, even here in my 50s, now my life has become awesome. So that's fine,
Yeah. Huh. So medical effects has been positive basically overall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. How about professionally? Any effect?
Not. I would say no, except how it intersects socially. So I'm out to my colleagues. I actually don't know even who knows at work. I've explicitly come out to numerous colleagues, and I know from casual, friendly conversation that other colleagues know. And I work in a gay-friendly work environment. But there have been no negative repercussions whatsoever, and I think I get a little bit of sympathy and understanding from other people. They understand that even though I'm a white male, I am also part of a minority, so that I sometimes I get some respect for that when I might not otherwise. And I have, within my institution, my employment institution, there's a little bit of extra diversity kind of networking that happens because of my identity. And I would say that I bring an awareness to some of my work assignments of privilege and language, care with language, and that kind of diversity discussion thing that it is a benefit. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. How about in your families? And by family, it's however you define family.
It's good within my family. So we came out to our kids within a year of my coming out to my wife.
Mhm.
They were extremely accepting. They were young adults. Um, so that's been extremely positive. And I mentioned one of our kids is trans, specifics TBD, but certainly I'm sure that he feels somewhat more welcomed in his family environment because of what he knows about us. And although we came out to them in 2003, we didn't come out to the kids. We came out to the kids about me, capital M, 2003. We didn't tell them about my other relationship or shit at this time, past and present, until this past year. That's been good. Everyone's totally cool with it. Came out to my parents about a year after it came out to my kids. 2 years, I guess. It's basically a don't ask, don't tell thing. They're conservative evangelicals. They they are nominally friendly about the gay issue, but I know that that's in order to be, because they're super nice people. They're friendly, even though it's contrary to what they hold as belief. My siblings are fine with it, but it's don't ask, don't tell. They don't know about my non-monogamy. They just know that this is how I identify.
Right.
My wife came out about us. I guess you could say she outed me, but it's really about us. To her mother last summer. Everything's totally cool. It's fun. It's fine. It's totally workable in family. It's especially cool to be out to my kids.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's wonderful when kids have a positive response. So, any other areas of your life or anything else that you wanted to touch on, or?
I don't think so. I guess I mean, I don't know what it fits into. Maybe social life, which is that after coming out, I built bridges to people, and it's not just my social life, like my gay friends and potluck dinners and stuff like that, but uh, uh, connecting to online support groups, specifically Hugs and How, and actually doing leadership roles with those groups has been valuable to me. Actually, within a year of my coming out, as part of my interest and my wife's support in kind of being gay and not having gay sex, I started volunteering at our local ASO, and that sort of started my gay friendship network and put me in touch with a lot of issues that I needed to be in touch with as a member of the community, so called, and so that was good. So I've always been big on volunteering and giving, and so however whatever box anyone wants to put it in, I would say that it has affected the ways in which I do that in the last 14 years.
Okay. Now, just to check, I'm familiar with Hugs. That's one for mixed-oriented marriage couples that are working together to make that marriage work.
Right.
ASO, I hadn't heard of that.
ASO is not. It's not like that. ASO is just a generic term for AIDS support organization.
Okay.
So whatever your local AIDS support organization is, it's an ASO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wasn't familiar with the term.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. That's why I do this. I learn all kinds of stuff every day.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks again, Bob, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Okay, my pleasure.
Good. Appreciate it.
good project. I think people need to figure out that there are lots of ways to live life.
Exactly. I appreciate it. All right. Well, thanks a lot, and we will talk to you later.
Okay, Mike, thanks.
All right. Thanks. Hey, this is Mike. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see some more videos, we'll be getting them out onto our YouTube channel, and you can also check them out on the Facebook page and our website, intersections.info. If you'd like to be interviewed, there's a link below that'll show you how to go through the process and get in touch with us so we can interview you. If you'd like to help support us financially, we do have a Patreon campaign set up. If you contribute monthly at the bronze level or higher, we'll give you early access to all the videos about 24 hours before everybody else gets to see them, plus some private chats and things like that. They're available. So check that out. And if you'd like to just make a one-time contribution, we do have a GoFundMe campaign that's out there to try to get some better equipment, things like that. So check us out and let us know what you think in the comments, and appreciate it. Thanks.